This notion that this has been not transparent, that people don't know what's in the bill. Everybody knows what's in the bill. I sat for 7 hours.
Mr. President, you couldn't tell me what the special deals are that are in or not today.
I just told you what was.
Is Connecticut in?
Connecticut. What are you specifically referring to?
$100 million for the hospital. Is Montana in for the asbestos program? Is, you know, listen, there are people, this is real money.
Absolutely.
People are worried about this stuff.
And as I said before, the final provisions are going to be posted for many days before this thing passes.
Nice going, Brett. You ruined it for the rest of us, pal. We won't get within 100 miles of the White House now, thanks to you. Anyway, maybe I'm hearing that exchange wrong. But at this stage of the healthcare process, is it possible that the president really doesn't know what special deals are in and what special deals are out in this healthcare process? And if so, time to hold on to our wallets, maybe even tighter, to our Fox Biz All-Stars, Jonathan Hoenig, Lizzie McDonald, Tom Belesis, and Megan Carberry. Lizzie, what do you think?
You know, that was a really telling exchange right there, and I wouldn't be surprised. Look, I don't think the president or a lot of people in Congress do know what's in that bill. It's an Enron-style bill that's tougher to read than an Enron financial statement.
But I'm going to give the president the benefit of the doubt here.
Go ahead.
It's a $1 trillion package, right?
$1 trillion,
so he doesn't know where $100 million is.
No, but these items that Brett Baer mentioned made headlines. The Connecticut $100 million hospital was in the headline.
So you're saying he should have known?
He should have known. And the other quick point is...
So you're saying he's a paper tiger who's letting us slow down and spending our money into oblivion.
I don't know if he's a paper tiger, but he was dismissive and defensive about the procedural process they're using. He's saying that the Republicans are in favor of the status quo within weeks of praising Republican ideas after the Blair House summit. So, you know, you're seeing two sides of the president right here.
Tom?
Listen, Neil, again, it's great to see you guys. I mean, you know, Liz has some great points. I mean, this is purely political.
Were they all great? Or just
There were a few great points, yeah. I mean, this is purely political. I mean, right now, they have to do what they need to make the American people happy, because everything they've done up to this point, in my opinion, has not been the way they said it would be when he got elected. You got deficits soaring, jobless people out there. Now, the unemployment rate over 10%. In some counties in California, over 20%. And they're talking about compounding more debt on top of the debt we already have. To me, in my opinion, I think this is just, again, I think this is just something for him to try to appease people when the real concern now is jobs.
All right, Megan.
No, it's
Megan, what I want to ask you here is whether the president was a little too cool for school. And it kind of reminds me, I one time had an oral exam in college. And I went to the professor thinking I knew it all, and I was at least sounding like I would know it all, when in fact he ripped me apart. I really was a blithering idiot. And that's why I went into the TV news business after that.
You were a visionary,
my point was, no, my point, in all seriousness, my point was, when he's picked apart, as Lizzie pointed out, on the details, some that might seem small, others that might seem well headlined and well trumpeted and well telegraphed, he was like, you know, Ralph Cramden, I'm going to Korea an apple. He didn't know.
No, he knows what's going on in the bill. He's just trying to steer the message with the rollout and not in advance. I don't see how it's different from Sarah Palin not being able to say what the Bush doctor was.
I knew Sarah Palin, George Bush. I give you creativity. But my point is, you've got to admit that Brett Baer, who, by the way, spoiled it for all of us with the White House, way to go, Brett, but is revealing something in the president that maybe the president, and maybe a reason why he avoids Fox, it doesn't like to be too aggressively challenged, because when it comes to the details of the biggest bill in human history, or not quite human history, but most of it, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
The president is on Fox. I really am. It's great that I thought it was wrong for him to not be coming on Fox and talking about the issues with all Americans. It's great that he's back and answering questions. If you can't defend your position, you should go home. It's great to have him there.
Okay, that wasn't an answer to my question, but I liked your statement. All right, Jonathan.
Yeah, and Neil, he doesn't know what's in it. His response to Brett's very straightforward question almost harkened back to Speaker Pelosi's comment a few days ago that we need to pass the bill to know what's in it. The truth is, doesn't matter what's in the bill. Doesn't matter the price of the bill. The goal of the bill is government control of health care. That's how we got Kucinich on board. You know, whether it's $1 trillion, $1.2 trillion, I mean, the particulars are going to change just as Medicare has changed. The goal is government control, and that's what the president and the Democrats are ultimately interested in here.
All right, lots more to fight over right after this.
This is a defining moment for whether or not
will have any opportunity to move off square one on the issue of health care.
I wouldn't have worn that jacket for that big a speech myself, but that's me. Off square one, then what is on square two? Is his vote now a yes because it'll be something bigger and more expensive? I do not understand.
Anytime I can support the president, I'd like to. I just, except on this bill.
That's a fundamental flaw that, unless they correct it, I don't see how I can support it. Well, I'm a Democrat, but I beg to differ with respect to this health care bill.
I'm the kind of guy, when I say no, I mean no.
If you say no, they're not going to be your friends much longer, you know.
Well, I don't choose my friends based on whether they agree with me or not. If I did, I don't know if I'd have any friends at all. After careful discussions with President Obama, I've decided to cast a vote in favor of the legislation.
What happened? What really happened? Why did he change his mind? Did Congressman Dennis Kucinich sell his soul on that plane, or did the president sell him something else? My Fox Biz All-Star is here to weigh in. Jonathan, what do you think?
Well, Neil, during the campaign, the president talked a lot about this period of transition between the current healthcare system and what, at the time, he advocated was for a single-payer system. That's always been Dennis Kucinich's goal. So I think the president made the case to Representative Kucinich that, while not the single-payer plan he would love us to have, it pushes us more in that direction. It puts more of the healthcare into government hands and ultimately crowds out and kills the last vestiges of a private market that still exists in this country.
What happened with this guy, Tom?
Neil, this is too funny. He was against everything. Now he's for it. Now you have a state now with over 11% unemployment. Elections coming up in November. Everyone knows what's going on here. He needs the president to campaign or help him campaign to hold on to that state.
Wins his district by a landslide every time. He's up 12 points in the polls.
Well, I got to put this, it's a long before now in November. A lot can happen.
Long way to Tipperary with the St. Patrick's analogy. Lizzie, what do you make of that?
I'm not sure if the Representative Kucinich is tired of going rogue and going it alone. And I think that Jonathan is right. And you're right about the unemployment rate in Ohio being very high. The name of the game is Medicaid, federal funding of Medicaid for the states like Ohio. And what we're going to see is emergency rooms spilling over with people where doctors will not take Medicaid payments because they do not get the payments they feel they should be getting. They deny coverage for treatment for Medicaid patients. So those people will end up in hospital rooms. So Representative Kucinich and other people in Congress are looking for more help with their state's Medicaid funding.
But I think, you know, Megan, there's something about riding on Air Force One, and there's something that, you know, you keep the napkins with you, maybe pull up a seat if you can on the way out. And that's pretty impressive, and you don't forget that. You can't, right as you're going down the steps, say, I'm for the plan, I'm for the plan. You let a little respectable time go by, and now, you know, there you go. You have a supporter for the plan. That's all. I don't think that
Dennis Kucinich would be someone who would be swayed by a ride on an airplane. He is very comfortable going rogue. I think it's more the fact that, you know, he's one of those. I think
everyone likes attention. I think everyone likes attention. I'm not taking anything away from the congressman, for whom I have great respect. But I'm just telling you, someone wines and dines you, takes you out to a big old event and holds you out. Takes you there on Air Force One. I mean, I always wonder when they take you out on Air Force One, do they return you on Air Force One or do you have to take a bus? But I digress. Nevertheless, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and he can't forget it.
It is a big deal, but he's in a position, like all the people who are part of Howard Dean's Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, where they have to decide if they want to be obstructionists to achieving change now. That's the category that a lot of Republicans are going to wind up in come November when people are in the voting.
Popular route. It's the more popular
people want to move on from this issue, and you know, who knows? Maybe he got a trade on another issue. What are we doing on marriage equality? What are we doing on immigration? We're ready to move on.
But he gets what he wants, Neil. I mean, if you outlaw the ability for insurance companies not to take people with pre-existing conditions, that's not insurance. That's an entitlement. So, you know, Kucinich gets ultimately the single-payer system he wants. Gets it a little more slowly, that's all.
Well, they also know that in time, right?
I mean, and positioning for the election.
Oh, okay, but Tom, eventually they know this is not ideal what they want, but I'm in, and this bill is going to take off, and it's going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, so we can argue about what I get later, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I think, too, because at the end of the day, who's going to pay for all this? I'll tell you, our children, our grandchildren, we're just compounding.
No, just you rich guys.
Or we could
Lizzie, in the
efficiently
end,
get
did
rid
it
of the
matter?
DMV. I just want to take all the money from the
Real
DMV
quick.
and efficiently
Okay, fine,
apply it to